Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, yes, last week was a big win for Indiana football against Eastern Illinois, but this week it's a new monster. Stephan Walker comes in the studio to break it all down.
And we hear how the volleyball team fared in their second home tournament in Wilkinson Hall. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Sup? Welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. We are so glad to have you here. I'm Griffin Gonzalez. Beside me is the best dressed man from the West, the Michael Tilka. Now, Michael, we have a jam-packed Hoosier Sports Night episode here tonight.
Absolutely correct. But first of all, thank you for the kind compliment about the stylings of a one Mr. Tilka here. But yes, you're absolutely right. Stephan Walker's joining us in studio here shortly. Maxwell Glenn is going to be in here to talk some Indiana men's soccer. But first, we got to hear about this game against Ohio State now, shall we?
Yes, one of the biggest games on IU football's calendar. We might as well talk about it. Let's begin with Indiana football, where Indiana is getting ready to face off against the Buckeyes from the state next door. We welcome in studio Stephan Walker to break it down for us. Stephan, take it away.
Thanks, Griffin. Well, another year, another meeting between IU and Ohio State. But this year feels different. There's a new quarterback leading the Hoosiers, and Michael Penix has looked great through 2 collegiate starts. But Tom Allen announced Penix as a game-time decision due to an undisclosed injury, meaning Peyton Ramsey might lead the offense. But no matter who starts, it's going to take more than great quarterback play to pull off a monumental upset in Bloomington. The offense will need to put up points early and often, and Steve Scott will need to be part of that offense after only putting up 109 yards in 2 games. That's not going to cut it against an elite Buckeye defense. Scott's ability to break off the big runs could open up the passing game, where Nick Westbrook and Donovan Hale have proven they can be deadly on the receiving end. And let's not forget about Whop Fillier, who made a couple eye-popping plays just last week. Now, the offense is ready to step up, but let's not forget about the defense. In past years, it's the defense getting teams off the field and giving the offense a chance, like in 2015 against the number 1 Buckeyes. The defense, led by 5th-year senior Raekwon Jones, needs to do a couple key things. First, prevent running back J.K. Dobbins from getting loose. And 2, prevent the big play that ultimately closes the door, whether it's giving up a 75-yard touchdown to Sparty in the 4th quarter last year, or letting Ezekiel Elliott score not once, not twice, but 3 times from beyond 50 yards out in 2015. Limiting big plays will be key. Oh, and they have to contain dual-threat quarterback Justin Fields, who's thrown for 458 yards and ran for 100 more in 2 games. Fields' athleticism makes him dangerous for any defense, so it won't be easy. However, if the defense can pressure Fields and force him to make mistakes, they'll give the offense a chance to put up points. And if by some miracle, both sides come together and do everything that they're supposed to, the Hoosiers just might be able to get their first top 25 win since 2016 and their first win over Ohio State since 1988. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, there you have it. Indiana is set to face off against the Buckeyes at noon this Saturday. You can catch that game on Fox.
With another weekend in Bloomington means another volleyball tournament in Wilkinson Hall. And for more on that, Dante Cargadorian has the recap from the Hoosier Invite.
This weekend's Hoosier Invitational got off to a great start on Friday for Indiana University as the Hoosiers defeated the Oregon State Beavers in 3 sets, but the main storyline of the weekend occurred during the 3rd set of Friday evening's loss to Oklahoma when outside hitter Brianna Edwards left the game with what head coach Steve Aird would call an upper body injury. Edwards would return to face Yale on Sunday afternoon, where she had a dominant performance, recording 18 kills and 6 digs for the Hoosiers. Daisha Lofton has played consistently well over the season, averaging 10 kills per game and recorded as many as 17 digs versus Yale to take some of the weight off of Brianna Edwards. Additionally, freshman Haley Armstrong is showing promise at the libero position, averaging 14 digs per game. As Armstrong continues to receive more playing time, junior Bailey Lebo continues to mentor her throughout matches, and the backcourt duo have developed excellent on-court communication with each other, resulting in better defense. Indiana concludes the Hoosier Invitational Tournament with a record of 2-1. Head coach Steve Aird said post-game that the team needs to focus on consistent effort throughout every set in order to be able to compete before Big Ten conference play comes around. The Hoosiers will receive some well-needed rest for when they travel to the Bluegrass Battle next weekend in Lexington, Kentucky.
As Dante said, IU will head on the road for the first time this year when they head to the Bluegrass Battle in Lexington this weekend, where they'll face Florida Gulf Coast, Cleveland State, and tournament host Kentucky.
Well, Indiana men's soccer is getting back in the groove of things as the Hoosiers are ready to begin the toughest stretch of their schedule. One game in particular, though, stands out amongst the rest. Maxwell Glenn tells us more.
Indiana men's soccer is set to face Notre Dame, but this isn't any other game. Both teams are ranked, Indiana coming in at number 4 and Notre Dame at number 10. But it isn't only about the rankings. These teams have a history. The in-state rivalry dates back to 1973. In the series, IU has 31 wins, 10 losses, and 2 ties. They've won the last 3, but those games were only decided by 1 goal. Now, both teams have a similar record this season, as Indiana sits at 3-0-1 and Notre Dame at 3-0. It's early in the season, but a win can go for either team. It can go a really long way. Indiana could reinforce their ranking with the hopes of moving up, and Notre Dame could break the losing streak versus IU and move deeper into the top 10. In addition to the storied history, there are a few more things you should look out for. First, the Irish still have another game to play before they head to Bloomington. The Hoosiers will be much more rested, while Notre Dame will be coming off of a meeting with another ranked opponent, Clemson. Now, second, looking back to the Mike Berticelli Memorial Tournament, both teams played Denver and Seattle. Now, Notre Dame shut out Denver 1-0, while Indiana won 2-1 in overtime. The Irish beat Seattle 4-2 in regulation. Meanwhile, the Hoosiers went the distance and ended in a tie after double OT. Is this a reason for concern? Only time will tell, but it's something to keep in mind. And third, keep an eye on Aiden Morris. He's an IU freshman that's already starting, and he's just exciting to watch. He's making great plays with or without the ball. He's just got a bright future, and he could be a real game changer on Tuesday. IU hasn't won a game in regulation this season, which has made some Hoosier fans uneasy. So Notre Dame will be their first big test of the season. Indiana beat the Irish last year, but we'll have to wait and see who comes out on top Tuesday. One thing is for certain, there's a pretty good chance this matchup could end up in overtime.
Well, man, that is going to be a fun one, isn't it? Indiana versus Notre Dame this Tuesday at Bill Armstrong Stadium. You can catch that one on Big Ten Network.
After a brief losing streak, women's soccer was able to bounce back with a big win Sunday. Griffin Epstein and Luke Burkhart have more.
An overcast Sunday afternoon in Bloomington as the IU women's soccer team faced off with the Morehead State Eagles. IU was coming off back-to-back one-goal heartbreaking losses against Murray State and Louisville.
The Hoosiers, in their second home game of the season, came out swinging, putting the pressure on the Eagles by scoring 2 goals just after the 30-minute mark. The rest of the game played out in IU's favor as they added 3 more goals to shut out Morehead State. Freshman Avery Lockwood was the standout star for IU as she recorded a brace through 2 brilliant goals. With this specific approach, she was poised for a breakout performance.
Quality on the ball to finish it and not just shoot the ball. So we needed one. We had a lot of possession of the ball, but we couldn't connect with the back of the net. So I was just thinking turn and then put a little curve on it to get it past the keeper.
Indiana's persistence and intensity led them to an easy victory, putting an end to their losing streak, says Lockwood.
Yeah, we just knew we couldn't drop our intensity, and it's tough sometimes when the game's a little slower and you have that much time on the ball, but we knew we just had to play fast and connect to each other.
With Indiana's dominant victory today, head coach Erwin Van Bennekom was finally very pleased with his team.
I just felt comfortable in the way we're defending and the way we're locking them in, and all we needed was the first goal to come. The first goal, went in, I think, and then it just opened up and more space would open up, and I think we did a good job of finishing the game off.
Indiana really put the pedal to the metal today from start to finish in their 5-0 victory. They really never let up, and it was an offensively explosive performance.
It was great to see such a stark difference between the two teams, with Morehead State not being able to put up a single shot, while on their end they put up 27 shots and above 10 corner kicks.
At Bill Armstrong Stadium in Bloomington, Griffin Epstein and Luke Burkhart, IUS TV Sports.
Following their match against UT Martin on Thursday, IU will head north to face the Kentucky Wildcats on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Now, Michael, I got to ask, what's a game all college kids love that involves ping pong balls and a ping pong table?
I would say
that's
ping pong.
right, table tennis, okay? When we get back, we're going to hear the set of twins who are making their names known by being 2 of the best table tennis players in the nation.
And our very own Jevin McCoskey has the recap from the IU Field Hockey Complex. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Now, what uses two paddles, goes to IU, and shares 50% of the same DNA? Don't know? Well, don't worry. Meredith Struewing gives us a hint when she tells us about a set of twins who are making history at IU in the sport of table tennis.
As a U.S. and national table tennis champion, Sharon Alguetti has very few real competitors, but he does have one, his twin brother, Gal.
Who's better? If you had to say.
It kind of depends on the day. You have to roll the dice.
The IU freshmen from Tenafly, New Jersey have competed at more than 500 U.S. table tennis tournaments, have a contract with the Germany-based table tennis company EULA, and have traveled to
Canada, Mexico, France, Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg, China, Serbia, Slovenia, El Salvador, Colombia, Portugal, Spain, Australia. You can put Israel in there too.
Yeah, you get the point. So why come to IU, a university that is over 700 miles from home and whose students label table tennis as ping pong, a basement activity?
We're going to open a club here. We believe that with us two, and we know a couple more players here, that regionals and divisionals we should be able to win.
They've been winning since they were 7 years old when their father took them and their older brother, also a national champion in the sport, to a local recreational club where he played table tennis for fun.
We started loving it, competing, and that's where it just took off.
While Sharon is ranked first in the nation for 18-year-olds and Gal is ranked number 3, they are national champions in doubles for all ages and have their sights set on the 2020 Olympics.
Some people like to play me better, some people like to play him better. And in doubles it helps us, a combination of both. He places the ball, I play the ball with spin and power, so it's like the perfect combination.
A perfect combination that unlocks a historic event.
I mean, with the two of us, I believe that we can make history here. I don't think Indiana University ever reached a national level, especially semis or getting a medal. Table tennis is not just the game, it's a community. It's a family at the end of the day, so we're trying to start a family here.
A family at IU that started with brothers and is quickly expanding. For Hoosier Sports Night, I'm Meredith Struewing.
Gal and Sharon will be competing in the 2020 Olympic trials at the end of February next year. Make sure to keep up with IUSTV Sports to hear the latest on both of their journeys.
Field hockey had their first weekend home slate when they faced off against Ball State in Miami, Ohio. How did they fare? Jevin McCoskey and Ethan Zaremo are here to tell you more.
It was an exciting weekend here at the IU Field Hockey Complex where the Indiana Hoosiers had their first weekend home slate of the year as they battled the Miami Redhawks on Friday and the Ball State Cardinals on Sunday. The Hoosiers struggled defensively during Friday's matchup against the Redhawks, giving up 5 goals, but turned things around on Sunday as the Hoosiers got back to playing winning hockey. This was a big weekend for first-year head coach Kayla Bayshore, and she still has high expectations for her team moving forward.
I would say narrowing it down. I think that we're going to continue to work defensively on our organization and the urgency in organizing and the understanding of that, and then also just kind of scoring on those opportunities, having a lot of opportunities, but really capitalizing on that so that games are kind of put away early.
In the first match of Alumni Weekend, the Hoosiers struggled on defense, allowing 5 goals to be scored on 4 penalty corners and 7 shots on goal. Bad defense did not slow up the offense as they themselves poured in 7 shots and 4 corners, but Indiana was unable to execute down the stretch. The Hoosiers would go on to lose Friday's contest 5-2.
I think it's just the consistency and just coming out with our defensive structure and setting ourselves up as we go forward through the line. So having that organization from the back going forward gives us better opportunities.
The Cream and Crimson saw success on Sunday as they battled the Cardinals in a close contest that came down to the last quarter. Kelsey Geis got the Hoosiers started with her first goal of the season. Sierra Girard went on to score to give Indiana a 2-1 lead that the defense would hold on to give IU the victory. Coach Bayshore said the future will include ups and downs and a lot of hard work for the Hoosiers as they move past this weekend and look ahead to their next opponents. Jevin McCoskey and Ethan Duramo with IUSTV Sports.
Field hockey had their first weekend home slate when they faced off against Ball State in Miami, Ohio. How did they fare? Jevin McCoskey and Ethan Zaremo are here to tell you more. IU heads back on the road to face the St. Louis Billikens on Friday and the Fairfield Stags on Sunday.
Well, the women's golf team teed off their 2019 season with a tournament out west this past week. Earlier this week, the team traveled down to Albuquerque, New Mexico to compete in the branch law firm Dick McGuire Invitational, playing at the championship course at New Mexico. The Hoosiers finished 7th out of 15 teams, with junior Priscilla Schmid leading the way. Schmid finished tied for second after 3 rounds, shooting 7 under par. For her effort, Schmid was named Big Ten Women's Golfer of the Week this past Wednesday. Now the Hoosiers do not have that much time off either. Next week, the team will send 3 individuals up to Muncie, Indiana to face off in the Cardinal Classic. Whew! All right, I don't know about you, Tilka. I'm tired. I need a little bit of a break, but what an episode of Hoosier Sports Night this week.
Absolutely right. That'll be a 6.5-day wait. But be sure to keep up with us on Twitter at IUSTV Sports and follow us on Facebook at IUSTV Sports as well. For Griffin Gonzalez and our entire production crew behind me, I'm Michael Tilka. We'll see you next week.